अस्सलामु अलैकुम। मैं ज़मीर अहमद अंसारी और आप देख रहे हैं जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू। अर्ज यह है कि आपने अपने चैनल जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ में दिए हुए बेल आइकन को भी दबाएं, जिससे हमारी आने वाली सभी वीडियोस के नोटिफिकेशन सबसे पहले आपको मिल सकें।
Thankful to all the participants who are here today. This is the voice and solidarity from the people of India, remembering the Nakba Day, the atrocities, what is continuously happening. Each day is Nakba happening in the state of Palestine. We are also thankful to the ambassadors, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Tunisia, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Morocco, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Yemen, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Sudan, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Algeria, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Oman, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Qatar, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Kuwait, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Lebanon, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Syria, the Ambassador of Arab League, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Bosnia, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Iraq. We are also thankful to the speakers today, His Excellency, Mr. Adnan Al-Haija, the Ambassador of Palestine, who has done a great effort to jointly organize this program today over here. We are also thankful to Professor Zikrur Rahman, Professor Manoj Jha, KC Tyagi ji, Professor Nivedita Menon, Mufti Mukarram Ahmad, Professor Apurvanand, Maria Arifuddin. We are also thankful to the team, those who are working tirelessly, India-Palestine Friendship Forum and the Embassy of Palestine, who has made this program a reality today. Definitely the voice of Palestine will be heard every corner, and the question of Western Hippocratic thinking, Western thinking which has not made a reality of having a Palestinian state, though after having a lot of promises from the United Nations and on the global platforms. So we wish sooner this should become a reality and the world should see a peaceful settlement of the issue of Palestine. Thank you for one and all for joining over here today.
Thank you, Professor Nivedita Menon. Azad Palestine Zindabad. Now I'm requesting His Excellency Al-Haija Sahab for his presidential and concluding speech.
Namaste, Assalamu alaikum. Dear Sister Tara Gandhi, Dear Excellencies and members of the diplomatic corps, honorable speakers, each one with their names and position, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me at the beginning to thank you all and to thank India-Palestine Friendship Forum, who work hard yearly to commemorate the Nakba and to affirm their solidarity with the Palestinian people. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that the suffering experienced by the Palestinian people is one of the greatest injustices in modern times. This started with the denial of people's existence in their homeland, designing unjust colonial policies to control their land and resources, and then practicing a documented ethnic cleansing against them. The Nakba is not a humanitarian crisis or natural disaster. Rather, it is a plotted human-made tragedy with responsibilities that should not be denied, no matter how much time passes. On the 75th anniversary of Nakba, it would be unfair to overlook Britain and the Western countries and their responsibility for this ongoing tragedy inflicted upon the Palestinian people. Most of them have been uprooted and displaced from their lands. We cannot turn a blind eye to the consequences of this tragedy, which generations of Palestinians continue to pay the price. So far, we are well aware that most Palestinians currently live in dismal refugee camps or are scattered across various countries of exile around the world. However, they still cling to their legitimate hope and they still retain the keys to their ancestors' seized homes. Generation after generation, the Palestinian people continue to astonish us with their unwavering determination to reclaim their freedom, independence, and inalienable rights, including the right to return to their land and homes, as stipulated by international conventions and resolutions. The Nakba commemoration is not a fleeting event. The Palestinian cause remains alive, and its incidents are continuous. For example, the targeting of the town of Hawara in the West Bank by a horrifying collective arson campaign carried out by armed settlers, which was seen by the entire world. Attempts to uproot Palestinian families from their neighborhoods and towns continue, as seen in Sheikh Jarrah and Khan al-Ahmar. Reports submitted directly from the field sound the alarm over escalating policies of land confiscation and expulsion of residents from Palestine villages and towns in the West Bank. All these incidents give the impression that the aftermath of the Nakba has not ceased. On the other hand, over 2 million people, mostly women and children, languish under a chronic collective punishment imposed in the isolated Gaza Strip, almost isolated from the world. In the past week in Gaza, we all witnessed how entire families of women and children were assassinated while they are sleeping in their beds. Dozens were killed and dozens injured without any regard from international law or holding the occupation government to account. We witnessed this, and the silence of international community over these crimes. Indeed, these crimes were covered by the United States and some European countries which were originally involved in the Nakba of the Palestinian people. Since the start of 2023, 148 Palestinians in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, have been killed by the Israeli occupying forces and Israeli settlers. Among the civilians killed were 26 children, exposing a systemic pattern of violations by Israel of the right of Palestinian children, particularly their right to life, for which Israel must be held fully responsible, including through listing of Israeli occupying forces and terrorist settler groups on the children and armed conflict list of violation of child rights. As Israel is clearly intent on carrying on with such brutality and impunity, a fact affirmed daily by the inflammatory rhetoric and incitement and the threats made by Israeli officials. It is a matter of urgency that international community act to protect the Palestinian civilian population and to deter the preparation of more crimes by Israelis. The occupying power, we urge all states to pursue them collectively and individually, in line with their obligations under international law, including as high constructing parties to the Fourth Geneva Convention to ensure respect to all circumstances. We thus call again the serious and rapid action to protect the Palestinian people and to ensure their human security and to bring an end to the illegal colonial Israeli occupation and apartheid regime that has been the cause of so much human suffering for decades and has precluded the realization of a just and lasting peace and security in the region. It is clear that initial disregard for the Nakba that befell the Palestinian people has encouraged the Israeli occupation authority to persist in its arbitrary policies and compound violations, as witnessed by the entire world today. However, we must warn that denying the Nakba is not only immoral, but also justifies its atrocities. Attempting to justify the Nakba by seeking excuse for it means that there is no guarantee against the repetition of past atrocities in new forms, especially after the rise of explicit racist extremists and advocate of ethnic cleansing position with the Israeli government. The Nakba anniversary reminds us year after year that our world still lacks rights and justice, and fairness cannot be achieved merely by granting the Palestinian people their inalienable rights, such as the right of self-determination and the establishment of an independent sovereign state. Firstly, there is need to recognize the tragedy inflicted upon these people and the emerged entitlement. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, at the end, international community should pledge to support the rights and justice in Palestine, to adopt the necessary policies and position that ensure the Palestinian people regain that freedom like any other nations. The Palestinian people should enjoy their rights to self-determination, sovereignty, and independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Authoritarianism continue to thrive. We know that May 15th is the day of Nakba, or catastrophe for the people of Palestine. It is a day of mourning, but also of resolve. It is a day on which the right to return is asserted and reasserted by hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in exile and in refugee camps worldwide. What is interesting or what is revealing is that there's a way in which the Israeli state prohibits commemorating of Nakba. Israeli officials and pro-Israel activists have repeatedly rejected this term, calling it an Arab lie, calling it a justification for terrorism. The Israeli Education Ministry has banned the use of this word in textbooks for Palestinian children. In 2011, there was a law prohibiting institutions from holding any events commemorating the Nakba. But by the daily violence that Palestinians face on a daily basis, the demolition of their homes on flimsy legal grounds, rendering thousands of Palestinians homeless, pushing Palestinians into a smaller and smaller bits of land. What Israel is doing is ensuring that Nakba can never be forgotten by Palestinians or by Palestinian supporters across the globe. The Nakba is not a one-time dispossession, it is ongoing. In the face of this relentless aggression by a powerful, highly militarized state, well funded by Western powers, what we learned from Palestine when we visited is sumud. This beautiful word that Palestinian resistance teaches us. Sumud is steadfastness, refusal to budge, to give in. Sumud is to lay claim to what is one's own home, one's own land. Sumud is resilience. I would like to quote an anonymous Palestinian voice on what sumud is, because today, in the kind of situation that India is passing through, we have lessons to learn from the Palestinian people, and sumud is one of them. Sumud is not just the capacity for survival or the ability to bounce back, to cope, to adapt. Sumud is accomplishing these things in addition to maintaining a steadfast defiance to subjugation and occupation. Sumud is not the consequence of a single life event, but a system of skills and habits that are learned and can be developed. It forms the basis of a lifestyle of endurance. As the Palestinian people say, sumud is seen in the self-sufficiency of farmers who subsist on their own limited production while refraining from consuming Israeli products. It is reflected in the labor of construction workers who reject the temptation to build Israeli settlements. It is seen in the generative capacity of parents whose commitment starts with the birth of a child, but continues by caring for and educating the child to be a decent Palestinian in the face of the threatened annihilation of the Palestinian nation. Palestinians say, when the occupation uproots our olive trees, we plant many trees. This is sumud. Another set of Palestinian voices can be heard in a recent book based on a collaborative research project titled The Untold Story of the Golan Heights, which studies indigenous Arab, that is Jawlani politics and culture, in the occupied Golan Heights. This book has been edited by one of my friends at Al-Haija, Munir Fakhr al-Din, and his colleagues Munir Badani and Michael Jason, and they teach us, outline two elements of life in the Golan Heights: everyday colonization and the politics of the government. From this emerges the idea of the Jawlan as a counter-geography, by which the editors mean the material and imaginative construction of an ethno-geographic community that contests the current regime of Israeli rule. As they put it, the Jawlani counter-geography marks out or remaps an inclusive and just future, disrupting the oppressive grid lines of Zionist settler colonization. As I conclude, I need not remind ourselves in India that the parallels to the authoritarian, violent, majoritarian, occupationist state of Israel are starkly clear, and I need not outline them. But we have gained also from the striking intellectual resources that Palestinian scholar activists give us, sumud and counter-geographies among these. We salute today the powerful, inspiring Palestinian struggle against 75 years of occupation and the lessons we can learn from it. Azad Palestine Zindabad.
Diplomacy is more in balancing, forgetting the distinction between the oppressor and the oppressed. Once I asked this question to my minister himself inside the parliament, making reference to what was happening, and it's not long back, 6 months ago, the bombing in Gaza, West Bank. My minister said that we are trying to provide aid. India was not known earlier only to supply aid, but to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine, and that has been a hallmark of our position since the days of Mahatma, and we lost him on 30th of January 1948, exactly the same year in which all this started, and we are in the 75th year. So, recently I watched a movie called Farah. I wish all of us who have chosen to forget Palestine and Palestinian causes, Palestinian issue, must look at Palestine through the eyes of that girl called Farah. She could be my daughter. She could be my sister. She could be your sister. She could be your daughter. This needs personalization. Palestine is not a distant space, a distant place in the map. Must tell you, we were in class 7th and 8th in Bihar. In Bihar, that time also not absolutely very good on any parameter. I didn't know where Palestine is located on the map, but we stood for Palestine. We stood for Palestine because the ideals, the principles, the values, which were the cornerstone of our freedom, were the cornerstone of our position world over. We did not care for the fact that speaking against America will jeopardize our interest. Recently, one of my ministers said, how can we talk about China and deal with China in the same manner, blah, 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 because China is a strong economy. Come on. Indian position never looked at the fact that we will keep silent when the small, big economies operate. That was a position. That's why I said we are extremely sorry. But at the same time, every ideology, every regime has an expiry date. You will never lose India as a friend. You might have some doubts about the government for some time, but Indian people will remain in solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Because you know something, अब हिंदी में switch करूँगा. You know something, 75 years of subjugation, 75 years of colonization, 75 years of ethnic cleansing, 75 years of brutal deprivation. I wish I had a single word for all these things, what I just said. In English, in any other language, we don't have a single word describing all these kind of ugly features which we have been seeing that the Palestinian people are facing. और ये हो क्यों रहा है? दुनिया ने अपने आप को काफी समेट सा लिया है. हमारी पूरी जो एक लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था अपने मुल्क में ही नहीं, बाहर के लिए भी, जो हमारी some of my excellencies are looking at me because there is a language barrier right now. So I'll switch over in English. You know, my dear Saul, you spoke about introspection with the Palestinian people. I draw an analogy in my own country. There are communities which have been victims. Is it desirable to put this ball in their, say, sphere and tell them how will you take it? Okay, Palestinians are fighting at multiple fronts. What they need is an act of solidarity from us. What they need is to remind them every day, every week, every month, we have not forgotten. And somehow, even my own country, if I look at the pockets, look at the communities which face disenfranchisement, marginalization, discrimination, I'm using all soft words. I could have chosen much more stronger words. Because I can see some of my friends from the Intelligence Bureau are also here. So what I mean, would they use their agency to fight? Or do they expect ask the so-called privileged people, privileged communities, to speak with them, if not for them. That is something which I wanted to communicate, not only on behalf of my political party, but also last year I wrote a piece in one of the English dailies, probably at the same time. But this year I could not because I'm undergoing some personal crisis in my family. I said openly in that, dear Palestinians, please forgive us. Because the same year before, my Prime Minister had gone there, Israel. And the kind of position India took consistently over the years, and again I go back to Mahatma, he was unambiguous in his approach. What India needs is that kind of straightforward approach, a caring approach, with a request to all of you. Let this not be once a year affair. 15th of May, we gather, we remember Palestine, and then we forget. Whatever capacity we have, whatever platforms we have, हम कोशिश करें इस मुद्दे के माध्यम से जिंदा रखें इस सवाल को। और जिंदा सवालों से सब डरते हैं। जब सवाल मरने लगते हैं तो जो बड़े लोग हैं वो सोचते हैं चलो संकट खत्म हुआ। जिंदा सवाल से अमेरिका भी डरेगा, जिंदा सवाल से वो लॉबी भी डरेगी जो अलग अलग मुल्कों में जासूसी के उपकरण उपलब्ध कराते हैं। let me state that Pegasus, we had a storm, and the storm, Israel was behind that storm, and I can't tell you the storm is over. Thank you very much, in solidarity with the people of Palestine, with all of you. Thank you very much.
There was an international conference organized by Fidel Castro. He was there and I was one of the participants. उसके बाद जब वीपी सिंह जी प्रधानमंत्री बने, जनता दल गवर्नमेंट थी, मैं मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट था, I hosted one tea party in his honor, in which more than 120 member of parliament attended. और मुझको जो विदेश मंत्री रहे हैं, हिज एक्सीलेंसी जानते हैं, कुंवर नटवर सिंह जी, वो अरब वर्ल्ड में भी कई मुल्कों में एम्बेसडर रहे हैं। उन्होंने बताया कि जब यासर अराफात बहुत कंफर्टेबली जोन में रात को विश्राम करना चाहते थे, नाइट होल्ड करना चाहते थे, इंडियन एम्बेसी वॉज द बेस्ट प्लेस फॉर दोज वर द डेज। अब यूएन में कई तरह के रेजोल्यूशन आते हैं, प्रस्ताव आते हैं, या तो हम चुप हो जाते हैं, या बैकआउट कर जाते हैं, या बोलते हैं। एक और घटनाक्रम में जरूर बताना चाहूंगा कि जब चंद्रशेखर जी प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन जाते हैं यहां पर, तो यासर अराफात साहब चंद्रशेखर जी को एक मैसेज भेजते हैं कि सावधान रहिए, यहां पे जेरूसलम में इसके आसपास जो इजराइल का खुफिया संगठन है, उसके जरिए थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्री के किसी बड़े नेता को असैसिनेट करने की प्रैक्टिस भी हो रही है और साजिश भी हो रही है। और राजीव गांधी की जो हत्या होती है, when he was assassinated, he just came back from Iraq. After the Iraq, we were the first country to denounce the big Bush attempt in Baghdad, and after that he was assassinated. He was such a close friend of India and the Indian masses. मुझको कई आंदोलनों में इसके बीच में जाने का मौका मिला है। ऐसा दुनिया में काले मुल्कों के लोगों के साथ भी इतनी जातियां नहीं हुई, जो अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज है जिनको हम कहते हैं, उनके साथ भेदभाव हुआ है इतना इजराइल के साथियों के साथ। और जो यूएन के अंदर रेजोल्यूशंस पास होते हैं उसकी भी वो परवाह नहीं करते। कोई एक रेजोल्यूशन थोड़ी है। तेल अवीव उनकी कैपिटल थी, ये यूएन में पास है, प्रस्ताव पास है। अब वो नहीं मानते, वो कहते ही नहीं जेरूसलम हमारी है। जो 67 में 6 डे वार हुई थी, देखते वेरी फेमस 6 डे वार अरब वर्ल्ड, जिसमें कई हजार, नॉट 1 2 3 4 5, कई हजार किलोमीटर सीरिया की जमीन पर अमेरिका ने कब्जा किया। और एवरीबडी इज काइंड इंफॉर्मेशन, यूएन का यूनानिमस रेजोल्यूशन है कि वहां कोई भी इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होगा। यू नो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग देयर? दे आर कंस्ट्रक्टिंग ए ट्रम्प कॉलोनी ओवर देयर। यूएन का रेजोल्यूशन है, नहीं, नो न्यू कंस्ट्रक्शन शुड बी देयर, लेकिन ट्रम्प कॉलोनी बना रहे। दुनिया के जो भ्रष्टम लोग हैं, द मोस्ट करप्ट रूलर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, वन ऑफ देम इज बीबी बिंजन। इसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट में केस चल रहा है भ्रष्टाचार का, और किसी भी तानाशाह का आखिरी औजार और हथियार जो है वो नेशनलिज्म, सोशलिज्म होता है। सो इज इन द केस ऑफ इजराइल। अब उन्होंने वहां पे कहा कि हम इसको ही चेंज करेंगे, जुडिशियल सिस्टम को और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। और जो अरब नेशनलिज्म है उसकी स्पिरिट को और तेज करें, यानी कि फिलिस्तीनियों पर और जुल्म करें। मुझे वहां जाने का, मैं जॉर्डन तक जो के आया हूं, एक मार्च में भी शामिल हुआ हूं। वेस्ट बैंक के आसपास के जो इलाके, वहां किस तरह की हालत, कोई कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकता कि 3 पीढ़ियां तंबू में पैदा। इमेजिन, यूएन का रेजोल्यूशन है कि बच्चे नहीं मारे जाएंगे, यूएन का रेजोल्यूशन है कि बूढ़े नहीं मारे जाएंगे, यूएन का रेजोल्यूशन है स्कूल के बच्चों के अटैक नहीं होगा, यूएन का रेजोल्यूशन है हॉस्पिटल पर अटैक नहीं होगा, लेकिन वहां सारे काम हो गए। और बार बार चेतावनी के बाद ऐसी लाचार और बेबस अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बिरादरी दुनिया में कभी देखने सुनने को नहीं मिली जो इनके बीच में। अभी मुफ्ती साहब जिक्र कर रहे थे, मैं उस धार्मिक मामले में ज्यादा दखल नहीं देना चाहता। पिछले 4-5 साल से जो मैं न्यूज़पेपर के जरिए पढ़ता भी और थोड़ा बहुत कभी कभी लिखता भी रहता हूं, जब रमजान का महीना आता है तो चाहे अलविदा जुमे की नमाज हो या उससे पहले कोई और जुमे की नमाज हो, इत्तेफाक से ईस्टर भी उसी दिन पड़ता है उस महीने, और गुड फ्राइडे भी उसी में पड़ता है। गुड फ्राइडे पड़ता है, मनाया जाता है, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं, वो जो से मनाए। ईस्टर पर भी मुझे कोई ऐतराज नहीं, लेकिन ईद की नमाज या अलविदा जुमा की नमाज या जुमे की नमाज जिस दिन होती है 150 फिलिस्तीनी मारे जाते हैं, उनको वहां जाने से रोका जाता है, और एक दीवार है जिसको पार करके लोग जाते हैं, उस दीवार को तोड़ा जाता है, और कई कई हजार फिलिस्तीनी बैरिकों में बंद किए जाते हैं, कुछ लोगों की धार्मिक आजादी की हिफाजत के लिए और कुछ लोगों की आजादी खत्म करने। दुनिया में कहीं तो सिविल सोसाइटी है, पूरी दुनिया में कहीं भी जाओ, वाह लोकतंत्र। तो लोकतंत्र किसके लिए है? लोकतंत्र है इजराइल के लिए, ये फिलिस्तीनियों के लिए लोकतंत्र नहीं। उन्होंने राजधानी बना दी जाकर के तेल अवीव, वो नहीं मानते आपके कोई भी कायदे कानून, और वो जो चाहते वो होता है। और मैं सॉरी टू से टू ऑल माय अरब वर्ल्ड फ्रेंड्स, हम तो चलो भाई नई दुनिया के पैरोकार हैं, इन सब लोगों की बड़ी दोस्तियां हो रही हैं। They are also making friends. Surprised to know that many prominent Arab countries, head of the state, they are visiting Arab world states, including UAE also, Saudi Arabia also. I am not in the position to criticize them, but it gives them legitimacy to curb the basic human rights of the Palestinian people. मेरा पानी मैं बीमार हूँ अपना क्या है बट मैं आई मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, मेरी तबीयत भी अच्छी नहीं है, लेकिन ये कॉज जो है मेरे हार्ट के इतना करीब है कि मैं रोक नहीं पाया। एक्चुअली चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ की जो सिविल सोसाइटी एक प्रस्ताव यहाँ भी पास हो इस तरह का कि जो एफर्ट्स वहां पर हो रहे हैं वो बंद होने चाहिए। जो ऑक्यूपाइड है, और आपको ताज्जुब होगा इतने से इजराइल की हुई थी रचना और इतना बड़ा इजराइल हो गया। आज फिलिस्तीनी रिफ्यूजी है, आज यहूदी रिफ्यूजी नहीं। जो मुल्क के मालिक थे वो मुल्क से बाहर है, और जो इन्वेडर्स थे, जो फॉरनर्स थे, वो मालिक हो गए। और मैं बिल्कुल बगैर खौफ के, आप तो कई बार मुफ्ती साहब खौफ खाते हो, अमर मनोजारी थोड़ा खौफ कम खाते हो, बगैर खौफ के कहना चाहता हूं हर भी दुनिया की जितनी बीमारी है, जितनी भी बीमारी है, सबके पीछे अमेरिका। चाहे ईरान हो, चाहे इराक हो, चाहे अफगानिस्तान हो, चाहे सीरिया हो, एंड अब और चाहे फिलिस्तीन और इजराइल। हम तो डिटेल में जाना चाहेंगे तो ट्रंप साहब के जो साहबजादे हैं वो इजराइल के यहां सबसे बड़े कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हैं, उसको मेरी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। और कुछ भी हो जाए बेंजामिन उससे भी नहीं डरता, विदेश से भी। पिछले दिनों कोई चीज आई थी जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को अपने को तोड़ रहे थे, तो बिदेन ने कहा डोंट डू ऑल दिस, उन्हें सेट रखवा ये हालत उसकी हो। क्योंकि जो बिजनेस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है अमेरिका के अंदर, उनकी लॉबी इतनी स्ट्रांग है, कोई भी बन जाए प्रधानमंत्री इजराइल के खिलाफ नहीं जा सकता। लिहाजा अरब सॉलिडेरिटी की, और मैं अगर ऐसे मिस्र के अगर है एम्बेसडर ऑफ मिस्र, नो इजिप्ट, मैं सैल्यूट करना चाहता हूं। देयर वाज वन लीडर फ्रॉम द अरब वर्ल्ड, अब्दुल गुलाम नासिर, जिसने अरब यूनिटी। एक दौर था पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, अब्दुल गुलाम नासिर, एनक्रुमा, सुकार्नो, टीटो, इंक्लूडिंग चामिल है, पूरी दुनिया चला। द लीडर्स ऑफ द नॉट अलाइंड मूवमेंट। आप गवाह स्वेज कनाल, जो यूरोप के लोगों का और गोरे लोगों का और इंग्लैंड के लोगों का व्यापार का सबसे बड़ा कनाल, किसी को बगैर बताए रातों रात नेशनलाइजेशन कर दी। पंडित नेहरू लिखते हैं कि मुझे तो कम से कम बताना चाहिए था। पूरा थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्री उनके उसमें खड़ा हो। आज अफसोस है कि ना कोई जवाहरलाल है, ना टीटो है, ना एनक्रुमा है, ना सुकार्नो है, और ना कोई अब्दुल गुलाम नासिर है। और ऐसे में जो थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज हैं उनमें ज्यादातर जिस तरह की डेमोक्रेटिक अनडेमोक्रेटिक गवर्नमेंट है, सब चीज है। काश कोई महात्मा गांधी फिर पैदा हो वहां पर भी और यहाँ पर। मैं अपनी तरफ से, अपनी पार्टी की तरफ से एक्सप्रेस माई टोटल सोलिडेरिटी विद द फाइटिंग एंड द ब्रेव मासेस ऑफ फिलिस्तीन कैंपेन।
We all request all of you to please have my going. Thank you.